Hello, dear friend, and welcome. One of the most important principles I've learned through my studies of Tai Chi, Feng Shui, memorizing, and creating is that we must keep both of our feet planted firmly in current reality. So how do we as adults understand the true burden that is upon our teenagers to pass a mandatory civics test here in Arizona? How do we truly remember what it was like to be in K-12 public education, to be told what to learn, what to memorize, to pass a mandatory test to move forward? Possibly, if you were to accept this test from me, a list of 54 African capitals, would you be able to memorize and remember to pass this test of a B average, answering 48 of the 54 questions correctly so that you could move forward? What might you share with me about your current reality? Well, Russell, I don't have time to memorize 54 African capitals. That's what our teenagers say about the civics test. Well, Russell, I don't see any value in me memorizing and remembering and passing a test of the 54 African capitals. It has no value in my life. I don't see any place where I'm going to need to use that information in a practical way. That's what our teenagers say about the Arizona civics test. Well, Russell, this is something that doesn't pertain to my life now, and this is something that most likely I can't see pertaining to my life as something I'll need in the future. That's what our children say, our teenagers say, about Arizona's civics test. So why would we ever have a relationship with a child, a teenager, or an adult of telling them what to do without explaining them why they must do? And if we can't convince them, we're the shop owner, we're the shopkeeper, they're the consumer, they're the buyer, and if we can't convince them to buy, we have our feet off the ground. So how do we assess the true value of Arizona's civic test? The manual itself and the actual test of 100 questions. Is this something that a 16, 17, 18-year-old actually needs and will actually help them on their journey into life as an adult? Question number 1, who lived in America before the Europeans arrived? Why would they need that in reality? How will that benefit a teenager and as an adult? Who was the first president of the United States? To us as an adult, seems logical. The student should know that. The teenager should know that. Why? Why would we ever convince, just like for yourself, the capital of Senegal? What is the capital of Senegal? Why would it matter? How would you ever use that information? Yet, it's on a mandatory test that you must pass. Question number 3. What was one important thing that Abraham Lincoln did? One important thing that the student has to pull out of somewhere to remember to pass the test. Why does that matter? Verse, I've learned wonderful things from Hollywood. The Free State of Jones, Matthew McConaughey. The Birth of a Nation. Actually learned, inspired to understand the true meaning of the birth of our nation and the free state, how we became free, how we helped others to become free, versus having to pass the capital of Togo. What is it? Does that help you at all to memorize and remember to pass a mandatory test of the 54 African capitals? Can you see the burden that would be placed upon you if I had made this test mandatory for you to pass before you could proceed? If you don't pass this test, getting 48 of the 54 questions answered correctly, you can't take any vacation, no time off. That's the requirement. And we're going to retest you in a few days, weeks, or months to make sure you're able to remember to pass this test. That's the burden that's on our children, our teenagers, and our teachers. How do we get both feet rooted in current reality? We have to understand the true value of what we are teaching our children, of what we are teaching our teenagers, of what we are testing them on. Because it takes effort, it takes concentration, it takes work to create a memory so that we can remember and bring that memory into current reality to pass a test. So if we're already both feet off the ground, the student does not understand the true value of what we are demanding they memorize and remember to pass a test. If we can root the understanding of value, very high possibility that the child, the teenager, the student will eagerly participate. The adult will eagerly participate. If we can't root our demand in current reality, then there's much less chance of participation. Why would we ever have a relationship with a child, a teenager, or an adult where we're not rooted in true value? Why would we ever demand anything, especially participation, if we're not rooted in a true value of the outcome of that participation? To get a grade, a lettered grade from F to A, that's why we're inviting participation for a letter grade? There must be much more value to invite full participation. Please help me to understand the true burden that is upon our children, our teenagers, and our teachers. If you do not agree, then please receive from me as a PDF this list of 54 African capitals. You'll have 1 week in which to achieve a B grade, a letter grade of B, answering 48 of these questions correctly, or you will not pass go. You will not take a vacation until you are able to pass this test.